Some of the content covered may be graphic in nature. Viewer discretion is advised.
Witchcraft.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely it's really
just I love stories like this because it's
someone scared to death.
Yeah, that's a real thing.
Just there are countless stories bad enough.
People that you shouldn't fuck with,
Right, and the JFK assassination all
to real.
From the mistake on the lake, deep within the Great American Rust Belt, I bid you all good evening, good morning, wherever you're listening, whatever time zone you may be in, or on the replay. This is T3TV. I'm your host, John Mazinski, alongside Daniel Rady.
What is up?
And Steve Buddha Gibson.
Dan with that staggered response.
I know. He's always a little late on it, but
He's buffering.
Yeah, he's buffering. Well, along with his computer from like 8,000 years ago, he still has a dial-up internet connection. So
No.
we'll forgive him.
I got rid of that several years ago. I'm not that bad.
So how's this week going for you guys as we enter in the weekend?
Very uneventful.
It started off pretty. Yeah, I don't know. I got nothing. Nothing.
So did either of you watch Mortal Kombat yet?
I did. I watched
did
it
not.
this weekend.
Yeah, what'd you think?
It was one of those movies where I did not have high hopes just because A, it's a video game movie, and B, it's Mortal Kombat. But I was entertained. I mean, it depends for every video game ever, every movie ever, like how much do you expect it to really follow the lore and how tight is the lore?
Right.
My biggest thing is the whole movie, the main character, and it's not a spoiler. I'm like trying to figure out who he is, and I'm like, dude, I don't recognize his power, I don't recognize his name, and then when I looked it up, they wrote that character for the movie, so then I was like, okay. But no, I mean, it was entertaining. Just go into it knowing it's a video game movie.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think critics go into every movie thinking that it's going to be like Casablanca or, Gone with the Wind. It's Mortal Kombat.
Right.
But I liked it. I thought the last like 25 minutes of it was probably the best. My brother put it best, I think, where he said that it was very quickly paced and almost outpaced itself. If that makes any sense.
It definitely outpaced itself. They jumped from like A to F to T, and then they finished the movie.
Yeah.
I mean,
there was really no time for things to like develop. It was just, buckle up and go, the whole time. So
I think that's kind of the problem really with like anything that has a ton of lore though, because that was one of my huge complaints about the Warcraft movie is like that series, for anyone that doesn't know, has so much freaking lore that, I mean, that first movie was what, 2 hours, 2.5 hours. I thought it was pretty long, but I mean, man, they skipped over just anything and everything just to go from the beginning to the end.
Yeah.
And I think like really the only stuff they really don't do that with was like Lord of the Rings, but they just spent 3 hours walking in the first one.
Yeah. But I mean, they could have stretched this out over, the course of 2-3 movies, but I also think that they were trying to play it safe because they didn't know whether or not it would do well, how well it would be received, So I go again saying, every 5 seconds.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest problem really with like any like video game movie that's been either made, whether they like do like the straight to TV or the anime or whatever, they kind of just always do the same plot over because they always want to start when they're like, oh, well, the last one messed it up, we're going to do it right this time. And you kind of still end up seeing the same plot over again. And
honestly, I think that's why a lot of people took on the Tom Holland's Spider-Man a lot better than they did with Andrew Garfield, because you got to think they started with Tobey Maguire. They ran 3 movies. Then they started again with Andrew Garfield with an origin story. Whereas opposed to the MCU where they basically pick up in the middle of Captain America, which it wasn't Winter Soldier, it was the Civil War. And by that point, Spider-Man already had his powers. He had his costume, all that stuff. So, well, he didn't have his costume yet, but he was already fighting crime. They didn't have to go into the origin story that he got bit by a spider. They just kind of took off with it and ran.
Yeah, that's one of those things, like, it doesn't need to be explained again.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, if you're going to rate it out of 10, what are you giving it?
I'd give it like a 6 or a 7.
Yeah, I'm going 7.5, something like that.
Well, I would say...
And I didn't mind the new character. I know a lot of people are like, nah, why'd you need to do that? I don't know. I thought it was cool. I thought it set up Scorpion versus Sub-Zero kind of well. And I also kind of didn't mind. I mean, they didn't paint Scorpion out to be like a total good guy.
Bad guy? Yeah,
well, not
he's
only
supposed to be a bad guy.
Right. So it was kind of like in between. So
they made his evil justified. Well, you know what? They didn't even really show him as a bad guy at all.
Well, I think that's why they're setting it up for the next movie. So, and then also they said that death was also just a gateway to something else. So I would imagine that most of these characters that died are going to come back in some capacity.
Well, can we all just agree that Johnny Cage is the worst fucking character to ever come out of any Mortal Kombat ever?
I don't know. I thought I mean, those are $500 sunglasses, you asshole. Then he kicks Goro off the cliff.
He's just so bad. Like he's the quintessential I fucking hate that guy character.
Yeah. I think that's the point though.
You know, I think Sonya's pretty awful too.
Yeah. A lot of people said that she wasn't very good, the woman that played her, but I didn't mind her. They said that Kano stole the show, but
Kano was fantastic. I thought the way that he portrayed his character was fantastic.
I mean, I thought he was good, but I thought there was just so much, I don't know, cheesy dialogue for him.
It's a Mortal Kombat movie. What do you expect?
Yeah, you're right. All right.
Well, last thing, did you notice when they were when she like took the dude into the trailer and she was like, "Look at all this information or this research that I had." Did you see the picture of Nightwolf on there? I did. Yeah. Where they were. I was really hoping that he would like show up in the movie at some point, but
right.
That was a cool little reference, though. I for some reason I was thinking that when they went to like Outworld, you were going to see Baraka or somebody, though.
Yeah, and I also thought at some point maybe the cyborgs would show up too, but
yeah, but I mean, I guess really that was way later on in the game too.
What was that, 3 that they started smoking?
I think that was 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, Smoke was in. Wasn't he a hidden character in the second one?
It was Smoke and
Noob Saibot.
Well, he was in the movie.
Was he? No, he wasn't.
Yeah, he was. He was the guy that with Kano.
What?
The guy that gets Kano to tip back over to the bad guys? Yeah, dude.
No. Noob Saibot, the shadow dude?
Yes.
Wow, am I losing it right now?
You are.
Wow.
So the best way to get something done, if it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to, anyway.
That's how I feel right now.
Is Dan, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm just basically falling asleep listening to you guys talk about boring movies.
All right.
I'm doing all right, though.
Oh, that's hurtful, Dan.
I know.
Listen, just because we don't want to talk about a fucking car for the 50,000th time.
You know what?
Shots fired.
That's what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
That's right, man.
Dan spent his weekend watching the Rockford Files.
Only about 4 episodes or 5 episodes.
Yeah. All right. How about some news?
Go for it.
All right. So looking here from the Daily Mail, another great trusted news source. Arkansas's cops are hunting for a local serial killer responsible for at least 4 knife attacks and 3 killings in Little Rock. Police in Little Rock, Arkansas are searching for a suspected serial killer who has been tied to at least 4 seemingly random knife attacks, 3 of which resulted in the victim's deaths. The unnamed suspect is being sought in connection with violent incidents that took place between August 2020 and April 2021 in Little Rock's Midtown area. Did you guys hear about that at all?
No, that's the first I heard of that one.
Yeah, so I guess police released the video suspect in this, but yeah, he's, and they've got several different clips here that they released of this guy.
So they caught him on film.
Yeah, but of course, again, you know, we have 4K cameras that are like action cameras that can be, you know, less than 2 inches by 2 inches that will capture 4K video, but yet this thing looks like still the Sasquatch video from like the 70s. You can't make out anything.
Right.
Dude, I don't understand that. Like, you've seen like the satellite cameras. You can see from fucking space and make details out on Earth, and then like every gas station camera looks like it was filmed with a fucking potato.
Well, yeah, and then you know, there's people from the military that are saying, "Oh, we can tell what pack of cigarettes are on your table from space." Yet, you know, for a couple $100, you still are getting ColecoVision here. So
yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, the cheapest cell phones have like 4K cameras now.
Right.
You know?
Dan, I don't know if you heard about this one here. This is from techrepublic.com. It says it might be running in your car right now, but you never know it because there's no Intel Inside like badge. And that's just how BlackBerry likes it. It says BlackBerry has built the iOS of cars, and it's taken over the automotive industry. Do you know anything about this?
I vaguely heard something about it, but no, go ahead. I think I read a little bit, but I don't know the details.
So it says here, BlackBerry QNX is the de facto standard for in-car operating systems. If a car were a smartphone, QNX is the iOS or Android when it comes to cars. It's what connects all the bits of vehicle hardware so that the apps from everything from the speedometer to the tire pressure monitoring system can talk to each other and securely and reliably. So I had no idea that RIM was still cooking things up like this.
Yeah, I did not hear that one at all. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, of course, these cars are nothing more than computers on wheels now, so
right,
nothing surprises me anymore.
There's also a note on this article too that says hackers remotely compromised a Jeep back in 2015, disabling its transmission and remotely manipulating the radio, climate control, and windshield wipers. There have been several fatal crashes due to Teslas that may be connected to the inability of the autopilot system to avoid certain types of crashes. Did you hear about this Jeep thing?
Oh, yeah. I heard about the Jeep thing. And then there was another Tesla crash that happened, I think about 4 years ago, where the guy was watching a Harry Potter movie.
Nice.
Oh, God. And he was watching a Harry Potter movie, and he basically the camera didn't realize there was a semi truck that had a mirrored. I think it was a tanker, maybe. It had a mirrored siding to it. So the camera thought the road was going forward. It didn't realize that there was a vehicle right in front there, and the car went right into the side of the tanker or whatever. I don't know, it might not have been a tanker, but it was a semi truck. Went right into it. And he was watching Harry Potter. And of course, he was very dead when that happened. But yeah.
Well, So yeah, RIM is or BlackBerry's making operating systems for cars. Did not know that.
Does that count for just like, I guess, how much does the operating system control? Like, does that have everything to do with like the onboard diagnostics and everything? Or
well, did you fucking listen to the story?
Well, the reason I ask is because like years ago when they had first started talking about OBD3, they were talking about using that in conjunction with OnStar to where like if someone steals your car or it's in like a police chase, they would just kill it.
Yeah, he looks fucking stupid.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah, he looks fucking stupid.
I'm just curious if that was like having to do with BlackBerry.
I don't think so.
No, I think that's regarding the interface of the system, like as far as using the media, so not social media, but like the climate control system, the radio. I think it has a lot more to operating that stuff than it does the self-diagnostics of the car and everything, at least as far as I know.
Yeah, basically what it said was all the systems and how they interact with each other is what this operating system is controlled.
Gotcha. Too many computers, man.
Yeah.
I agree.
What is that? A penny whistle?
All right. So also we got some listeners there. Pretty pumped about that. Shout out to my boy Nagel, if he's listening. Was hanging out with him over the weekend, building time machine parts. This one's out of North Carolina. This is interesting. 12-year-old graduating high school and college in the same week. 12-year-old North Carolina boy who took a few extra classes in his spare time during COVID-19 pandemic is now preparing to graduate high school and college in the same week.
What?
Yeah. So Mike
a
Wimmer,
few extra classes.
Yeah. 12 of Salisbury will graduate Rowan Caribus Community College with an associate's degree on May 21st and will graduate Concord Academy High School just 7 days later on May 28th. Wimmer, who has a 4.0 GPA at the college and a 5.45 GPA in high school, earning him the role of his class valedictorian. Imagine that being like 18 and your valedictorian is a 12-year-old.
I think he would probably just get made fun of for being a virgin.
Yeah.
Who knows? This kid's advanced and maybe he's doing all kinds of stuff.
I wish I loved school that much at the age of 12. I hated school for passion. I can't believe
I know,
it.
that's crazy.
Wow.
I mean, 5.45. Wow,
You know, like that's cool
I
and all.
was barely getting a 3.0. I was happy to get a 2.75.
Yeah.
Like that's cool that like you got all your schooling and everything out of the way, but I feel like your social skills are probably severely lacking because there's no 18-year-olds that want to hang out with a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
Right.
It says
I'm not even saying that to be mean. I just mean
I know.
like, you know.
Right.
The 12-year-old said that his lifelong interest in technology and robots led him to create his own startup, Reflex Social, which aims to simplify how smart home technology works. My entrepreneurial goal is to build technology that enables people to live better lives. Boy, this kid's way more mature at 12.
Wow.
I mean, I remember just...
Then about 95% of the population.
Yeah, right? We were skateboarding at the loading dock when we were like 12 and 13. Buddha had a fro back then.
Yeah. Screech.
Y'all are jealous.
Looked like a Q-tip. All right. On to the next one here. This one's out of Memphis. Memphis ghost hunter takes over country's oldest cemetery to preserve history and conducts paranormal investigations. Memphis, Tennessee. A Memphis ghost hunter has taken over ownership of Shelby County's oldest cemetery. He says to preserve local history and give lost souls a beautiful final resting place. Jack Brewer with Memphis Ghost Hunters recently got the deed to the Old Raleigh Cemetery on Old Raleigh LaGrange Road and has started a GoFundMe campaign to clean up and repair the historic graveyard. There are some really famous people buried here. That's where the Shelbys are buried, and Isaac Rawlings, who was the second mayor of the city, says Brewer. But yeah, so I have another quote here. It says, I have access to 8-foot chain link fence, which is 2,000 feet, which you could see over the entire cemetery. I just don't have the poles. As you can see, they're falling apart, but me and my team figure we can get it mowed, cleaned up, and it will be easily to manage. Brewer's hoping to raise about $5,000 to begin work on the cemetery in the future, and he plans to conduct paranormal investigations and offer walking tours to continue to take care of the place. So, pretty cool. Let's see. All right. This one's out of the UK, Buddha, as this is the decline in civilization. You'll appreciate this one. British speed eater drinks a Capri Sun in 15.71 seconds for the Guinness record. British speed eater broke Guinness World Record by drinking a Capri Sun beverage pouch in 15.71 seconds. It was a woman named Lee Shutkever, a speed eater with more than 20 Guinness eating titles, including most chicken nuggets eaten in 3 minutes and the fastest time to eat 15 Ferrero Rochers. Said one of the most challenging aspects of the Capri Sun record was mastering the technique for removing the straw from its plastic sleeve. Okay, so Guinness posted a video on TikTok showing the Shutkever's record attempt. She finished with a time of 15.71 seconds, beating the record of 16.65 seconds, which was set by a British man, Declan Evans.
They're
Oh,
they're keeping records of something like that.
yeah, I guess so.
Wow. There's not much to a Capri drink, is there? Like, what, 4 ounces? Not even 3 ounces? What's in it? I mean, how much?
It's all about getting the straw in.
Yeah, I mean,
oh, that's true. Oh, I'm sorry. You got to do that part.
Yeah, but this thing is like a sheet of paper when she's done with it. So,
Wow.
Yeah, how much do they count? Because no one can ever drink the whole thing.
yeah.
That's true.
I one time remember I forget who it was, sent me a picture of a Capri Sun in a toilet. I'm like, who ate an entire Capri Sun?
That was Rob.
Oh yeah. All right, so this one comes out of the great state of New York. The NYPD is giving up its robotic dog after the 4-legged machine sparked ridicule, comparison to dystopian sci-fi plots, and scrutiny into the department's use of taxpayer money. NYPD spokesperson confirmed to the Gothamist that they had terminated a contract with Boston Dynamics, which had been leasing the Digit dog to the department since last year. NYPD officials initially said that the camera-equipped 70-pound dog was going to save lives, protect people, and protect officers by responding to emergencies. Too dangerous for police. But after the video showed the dog trotting through Manhattan public housing complex earlier this month, several lawmakers raised concerns about surveillance implications and argued that the deployment demonstrated the NYPD's over-policing of low-income New Yorkers. So, no more Boston Dynamic dog for NYPD.
So wait, they're worried about a dystopia from a dynamic dog, but they don't care that their governor sends people to die.
No, not at all.
Cool. Just want to be clear.
Anyway.
Perfect timing.
All right. So this as in the last few weeks, we've had a few stories in regards to objects being mistaken for something else. We had the croissant being mistaken for an iguana. What did we else have? Someone thought they solved a crime for getting DNA off of a eaten sausage in Germany. This one comes out of Germany again. German bomb squad finds a reported grenade, which actually was a rubber sex toy. April 27th.
That could be a bomb of its own.
April 27, police in Germany said a bomb squad was summoned on a report of a grenade spotted by a jogger in the woods. But they arrived to find that the object was a rubber sex toy.
Do you remember? Do you remember the ball gag? You're gonna need this tonight or whatever.
Oh my god! The police headquarters in Lower Bavaria said that the bomb squad was called off to a wooded area outside of Passau, near the Austrian border, on a report of a hand grenade in a plastic bag found by a jogger. The bomb squad arrived on the scene and discovered the grenade-shaped object was made of rubber and was accompanied by 2 condoms, an empty bottle of personal lubricant, and a USB charging cord. Police said the bomb squad did an online search and it confirmed the suspected explosive was a harmless sex toy. Investigators said the condition of the plastic bag indicated that it had been in the woods for some time before being discovered. Ugh.
Well, at least they were being safe with them Jimmy hats.
Yeah. There you go. There you have it, folks. Let's see here. Couple's creepy discovery in new home they bought online. Wow, that was a really bad headline. Anyway, a couple who bought a home online without expecting it moved in to discover a window on the outside of the house that could not be accessed from indoors. U.S.-based TikTok user Sissy Hank Shaw explained in a video that they did not inspect the house as they did not want to travel unnecessarily amid the coronavirus pandemic. Revealing she's a real estate agent, she was informed about the home buying process and confident in her knowledge about the industry. Upon moving in, however, the TikToker shared a video of the front house before revealing a window that could not be accessed from the inside. There's no access to the other part of the attic, she said, as she panned the video throughout the interior of the home. There's no way to access the other part of the roof that sticks out in front of the house. Here, I'm going to throw it up here in a second.
So wait, this lady was a real estate agent and she didn't want to go look at a house they were going to buy?
Well, amidst the pandemic. So, in the video, the woman shows a board of wood drilled onto a wall at the back of a closet. After removing the board, a hidden part of the attic is revealed, complete with new floors, wiring, and a roof. It's so interesting. There's no access to it from anywhere in the house. Moving the insulation and covering the new floors. People think that the room is haunted. Someone else closed that back up. It's haunted. It's probably blocked off for a reason. Demon, ghost, another person exclaimed, "You've just released an evil spirit." But anyway, just kind of an interesting read. So
it does make you wonder why it was covered up though in the first place, unless there was some sort of insulation problem or something maybe up there.
Right.
Did you say it was a full size room?
It
looks like it's an attic crawl space.
Kind of, yeah. I mean,
that's not even weird. That's in like half the fucking houses I go in. They put in windows just for show.
Right.
That especially the ones built in like the 40s and 50s.
Yeah.
They had that crawl space type thing.
Okay, this is last one I got for tonight. Man home alone petrified by ghosts after hearing creepy crying noises in the trailer. Footage of a man recording crying sounds in his trailer was shared on a ghost Reddit page where people debated what they thought the spooky vocalizations, or what made the spooky vocalizations, and if they were paranormal. See, going down the article a little more, this is dailystar.co.uk. A man has complained of a mysterious crying sounds creeping him out when he is alone and asked Reddit forum for help identifying the spine-tingling noise. So here it is. Let me take it back here.
Are you playing the actual recording?
Yeah.
Sounds like a cat.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It sounds like his cat is stuck in his dryer. Dude, what a pussy. Why would you be afraid of that?
I don't think that it is a baby. It sounds like a cat to me.
It should just say guy posts video proving that he is a moron.
Yeah.
Cats
looks
make
fucking
some
stupid.
Crazy. Yeah, cats make some really weird sounding noises. I think that's a
dude.
cat.
I've literally heard that shit like outside of my house in the middle of the night.
You suck.
So, in other news, I got a really cool app that allows me to load a bunch of sounds into a page, and I can quick key them up very quickly and not have to search YouTube and other things real quickly for sounds. So, we have this gem.
Yeah, he looks fucking stupid.
We also have this one from Dan. We have this one from me. And then obviously some preloaded ones here. And when Buddha goes on to tell his story tonight, we'll be able to.
Wow, nice.
Hey, you need to put get a snoring one for Buddha, so it looks like we're sleeping.
And then obviously I had to put this in here.
So the best way to get something done, if it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to. Anyway.
Just the defeat in his voice.
Yeah, and then you can also segment out clips too and have sub clips. So
anyway.
All right.
Oh man.
So that's all I got for this week in news. Dan, what you got?
All right. So this story is not going to be anything new or amazing to us, and probably to most people. It's very, very historic thing in history, especially for people in Cleveland. Everyone's heard of this story, but of course, you guys have heard of the Torso Killer.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I'm gonna do the story on the torso killer. I knew about it, but I never really dug into it too much. I mean, this is really an interesting story that I know we had talked about doing this in the past. At one point, I think we even talked about going on site to do a story on it at one point, which we never did.
Oh, really? I forget.
Yeah, we did. It's just there's not much on site because everything's so different now.
Yeah, it's all gone.
Yeah, Kingsbury Run's history, that's been gone for 60, 70 years. But yeah, so this, anyway, to just kind of go over it real quickly, and this, of course, talk about lore. Elliot Ness is very much connected to the torso killers. And, you know, it's funny, you just were talking about something just recently of a serial killer, and it's like, you know, Cleveland had its own Jack the Ripper. And this basically took place from 1934 to like 1938. That's when the majority of these victims were found. They're saying that there was about 12 victims, but a lot of evidence and things have come forward saying that there could have been a lot more, definitely well over 12, maybe 20, 30, close to 40 victims. That's never been connected. But basically, just to kind of go over, this was, I mean, this, at the time, if we were alive at this time, this was obviously huge news in Cleveland, and people were scared to death. I mean, to go out, and they didn't know, you know, who this was. There was no evidence on when this person was going to strike. He was mostly going after poor, you know, homeless people, transient, you know, people that were down on their luck, getting them from bars, homeless, I don't know about homeless shelters, but gambling dens. And that's pretty much what Kingsbury Run was at that time. It was a really run down, terrible area. But just to kind of go over real quick on what was found, and I'm just going to kind of briefly go over a few of these. So September 1934, a young man finds the lower half of a woman's torso with thighs still attached, but amputated at the knees, washed up on the shores of Lake Erie. Cuyahoga County coroner, easy for me to say, A.J. Pierce noted that some sort of chemical preservative was on the skin, which had turned it red, tough, and leathery. Subsequent search yielded only a few other body parts. The body was that of a female in her mid-30s. The head was never found. And this woman was identified, never identified, and she was referred to the Lady of the Lake. Now, there's a lot more to each one of these. I'm just going to go over briefly. September 35, two teenage boys discovered the decapitated, emasculated corpse of a white male at the base of, it's a great name here, Jackass Hill, where East 49th Street dead ends into Kingsbury Run. The body only had a pair of socks on, was clean and drained of blood. There were rope burns around both wrists. Coroner Pierce determined that the cause of death had been decapitation. This gentleman was a man. One person was, through fingerprints, Edward Adrassi, 28-year-old white male. Because he did have an arrest record, so they were able to figure out who that was. January 1936, a woman discovers about half the body of a female neatly wrapped in a newspaper and packed in 2 half-bushel baskets. Baskets were left alongside the Hart Manufacturing Building on Central Avenue near East 20th Street. Everything except the head was recovered about 10 days later in a vacant lot on nearby Orange Avenue. Again, it was decapitation. That's how the person died. For some reason,
are you saying that the head was found 10 days later, or just the rest of the body?
Just the rest of the body.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Let's see here, because they found the body parts and they found the rest of the body 10 days later. Let's see here. So then the killer, but at this one here, for some reason, the killer had waited for rigor mortis to set in before starting to, rip the body apart. Fingerprints, again, would allow identification of this one as Florence Polillo. I think I said that right. She was a waitress, barmaid, and prostitute. And then June 1936, early one morning in Kingsbury Run, 2 young boys discovered the head of a white male wrapped in a pair of trousers close to East 55th Street Bridge.
Nice.
Sorry, I mean,
I just some listeners, you scared the shit out of them. Good timing. So July 19, and then of course there was some more details on that. I don't want to go too long on these here, but July 1936, a teenage girl came across. Thinking, was that Biden again?
Yeah. Anyway.
Oh God. Okay. Anyway, July 1936, a teenage girl came across the decapitated remains of I'm not supposed to be laughing through this. A teenage girl came across the decapitated remains of a 40-year-old white male while walking through the woods. Do not play Biden again, please. So at least until I get through this.
All right, John, you're about to be banned.
I know, sorry.
Woods near Clinton Road and Big Creek. The victim had been dead for about 2 months, and the head, as well as a pile of bloody clothing, was found nearby. Judging by the enormous quantity of blood that had seeped into the ground, this man was apparently killed where the body was found. So that's one thing about these. They never found any blood at all in the area where the person was found. So it obviously...
my guess is that if they're all headless, they were just hung upside down and drained before they, put everything out.
Assuming and it was done obviously somewhere else. And then, so 1936, a transient tripped over the upper half of a man's torso while trying to hop a train on East 37th Street in Kingsbury Run. Police searched a nearby pool, which was nothing more than a big open sewer, and found the lower half of the torso and parts of both legs. Police, imagine this job, police sent a diver in to make the recovery.
I pretty much was tripping over torsos when I was in New Orleans.
And were you? Wow. I could believe that. Were they alive? They were alive, right?
Questionable.
Questionable on that one? Okay.
Not joking.
Dude, Dan, you're getting called out by Sabian in the
By
chat.
who?
They're out. We have a listener.
Oh.
Believe it or not.
He said you're a bitch, Dan.
Is that what he said? Oh, well. I'm sorry. What was the question? I'm not pulling that up.
No, they just said you weren't being very cool. I think it was because you're laughing.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, wrong key. God damn it. Anyway, go. Sorry.
Anyway, so yeah, so basically, and those were the anyway. So there were plenty of other, just human.
Every time you say it, I'm gonna play it.
There were other, body parts found over the next few years. So Elliot Ness, of course, did his own. A lot of people think he was the main investigator in this, and that wasn't true. He was actually the safety director of Cleveland, the police safety director, but he did oversee it, of course. The guy that they came up with, they had a lot of suspects. They knew that the coroner at the time, it was what we would call the CSI now, was called the Scientific Identification Bureau, believe it or not. That's what they called it back in the day. They had come up with the conclusion right off the bat that these people were, a doctor had did this because of the skill and how they knew where to cut. It wasn't just some crazy lunatic just cutting people open. It was done with, finesse, I guess, if you want to say it that way. But
and with surgical tools, right?
Surgical tools, yes, exactly. And that's why they immediately knew that this was a doctor right off the bat. So they started looking at like local area doctors that had any kind of run-in with the law or had mental issues. And Elliot Ness came up with a gentleman named Francis Edward Sweeney. And this gentleman had a lot of mental issues. They had taken him in, which they couldn't do this right now for sure. This was long before the Miranda rights. They took him into a hotel and kept him there for like 10 days to interrogate him. And they did a lie detector. He failed a lie detector miserably. And they didn't have concrete evidence to pin it on him. They thought it was him, but they just didn't have enough evidence. So they had to let him go. And then a couple years later, Sweeney actually committed himself to the mental institution. He ended up dying in 1964. And Ness, even though Ness pretty much figured that was him, he never was able to come up with enough evidence to actually do anything other than that. At one point, and Ness this is where his legend went down the tubes from his untouchable Al Capone days, because he was doing things that were way out of line to try to get this taken care of. Granted, you could get away with stuff like that. He was bending the rules of tearing down people's homes and kicking the homeless people out and just things that you shouldn't be doing or you should have done. He was bending, using his power to try to get this guy. And I guess in a way he was trying to stop these murders from happening. But Anyway, Sweeney died in 1964, and to this day, even though he is the biggest suspect, the I guess you want to say the strongest suspect, it's never been actually, there was no evidence, again, like I just kept saying, no evidence to prove it to him that he did it. But it's just a crazy story. It all these years later, this was the late 30s, and here we are today. We still don't know who did these, and a lot of people died.
Well, didn't they also try to connect this with the Black Dahlia, and that doctor had gone between Cleveland and Los Angeles a couple of times?
Yeah, well, I don't know if he had actually gone back and forth. I do know that I do remember hearing him say they tried to connect it because the way that she was cut up was literally almost exactly the same as what was happening around here at the same time too.
Yeah, I'm going to look it up here right now, but I believe there was a Cleveland connection to the Black Dahlia.
I thought it was that they just tried to find the similarities between the two cases. I also don't remember hearing that the doctor traveled back and forth.
Yeah, that part. Yeah, I didn't hear that part either. But I know, but like you said, I think it was basically just the similarities to it.
Dude, all that being said, if you actually look at the history of Cleveland, they had a fuck ton of serial killers. Like Cleveland is like damn near the serial killer capital of the country.
Must be the weather. Yeah, no,
yeah,
I don't
dude,
know.
Seriously.
Yeah, it's the stories. I mean, when you dig into it, and there's of course a lot more to this story. I just kind of touched the surface of it real quick, just to kind of enlighten people of Cleveland's wonderful history. And there's, like I said, but you could read hours and hours on the story because so many people had, and Elliot Ness never came out and actually at the time said that Sweeney was his secret suspect, but it came out later because a lot of the detectives in the bureau were trying to keep that stuff secret. They didn't want to come out with it and say it because because of some of his techniques that he was doing were, even there were such thing as civil liberties, even back in the 30s, people had still some rights, and those were being basically thrown right out the window at that time.
Yeah, I'm reading here. It says between 1934 and 38, no less than 13 mutilated bodies were discovered in the Kingsbury Rung district. Where's that at?
That's over by where it's near the rapid transit, where the rapid transit system is.
Yeah, but like
not too far from Shaker. It's not too far from Shaker Heights.
Okay, so it's more towards the east side.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. Wowee.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, think about, finding those bodies like that, or finding a head, here and there. And I mean, it was crazy. I mean, from what I've read about it and,
yeah,
like I said, some history, we had our own Jack the Ripper.
The one question posed in this article, and this is off of unsolved.com, which obviously is Unsolved Mysteries. It says, but if the torso slayer was locked away in Ohio, but if the torso slayer was locked away in an Ohio hospital, how could the murders have continued in other parts of the Midwest and later Los Angeles? Lawrence Sherb wondered if perhaps one crucial point was overlooked by Elliot Ness when the killer entered the hospital. If one is voluntarily in a mental hospital and you're free to legally walk out anytime you want, I think that's exactly what he did. I think he used mental health system most of his career. When things got tough or the investigations heated up, he simply checked himself into a mental institution, waited until they cooled down, and then checked himself out again, and then departed and continued the killing. Elliot Ness never publicly identified the suspect. He took the name with him to the grave. He was the most prolific mass murderer in the history of the United States, and to this day, his true identity remains unknown.
Right. Well, yeah. So Sweeney's the one and that name came out in the 70s.
There was 32 comments on this thread on unsolved.com, and the top comment is from Peppa Pig. So, the cartoon
Peppa
character.
Pig?
I guess so.
Yeah.
Someone, Robert the Wallace. Dahlia actually posted on here. All right, sorry, Dan. Go ahead.
Oh, that was pretty much. I'm sorry, I can't see the comments. So if it's something a question, or someone hates my guts or thinks I sound annoying, just tell me. But
I do.
yeah, I know you do. I definitely know that. But yeah, so that's pretty much the story there. I mean, it's just obviously it's never going to be probably solved unless some kind of secret. Like I say, he died in '64, the Sweeney, and it's. I don't think that it never will be solved. That's the bottom line. It'll never be solved. And he did send some very cryptic, weird things to Elliot Ness while he was in the mental institution. Incoherent. You couldn't even tell what it was. It was from him, but it was just rambling because the guy was obviously losing his mind. But you wonder how much was he losing his mind, like you said, or like that person said, did he know what he was doing? Committing himself in that to get away from it.
That makes sense. I mean, you can't put that past people, especially people like this who are too smart for their own good.
Can I just throw this out there since we're talking about Elliot Ness? Like, he's, obviously known for bringing down Al Capone, but the fact that he was really kind of around to like enforce prohibition, he's kind of a dick. Like, I don't know. That's just my take on that. Like, I know you got to toe the line, but I'm like, dude, you were kind of.
Well,
I don't know.
Well, all right. Put him in today's climate. Where you think he's fallen?
Where do I think if he's enforcing prohibition, I think he's fucking doing what the government's telling him to do. Hey, take your guns away. Arrest all those people that are smoking weed. You're not allowed to smoke those cigarettes. Get your ass home before curfew. I think that's where he's fallen.
Yeah, he looks fucking stupid.
And that's another thing I actually didn't even bring up. There was one suspect, and I have to look up his name here. I apologize, but there's one suspect and they did arrest Frank Dolezal. I might not be saying that name right, but he was arrested, interrogated, and he ended up dying in the jail cell. It was supposedly because of suicide. The 5'8" Dolezal had hanged himself from a hook only 5 feet 7 inches off the floor, which is very odd. Now the
sounds like
autopsy,
Epstein's suicide.
Yeah, see, the shit was going on, man.
Anyway,
and hey, I mean, and that was very questionable there, and a lot of people think that he was murdered in prison. So, and again, there's a lot of weird rumors about that whole thing, and
not like Epstein.
Yeah, well, that's a whole nother.
He definitely did it himself.
Without a doubt.
Absolutely. And, the thing about it is, if you're like Epstein and,
so the best way to get something done, if it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to, anyway.
All right.
Buddha,
what do you got?
Oh, hold on. Don't you think it's kind of funny that with everything going on nowadays and like every time somebody gets shot by a cop or like any of the stuff that you see on like the shoved up your ass in your face every single day kind of headlines, you still haven't heard a fucking peep about Ghislaine Maxwell?
She's popped up from time to time, but nothing of
that should be front page every day until something is done. And they just let it fade away. I mean, her lawyers keep on trying to get her to basically get out easy. Nothing's going to happen, but just to making the point that it's all fucked. Anyway, do you guys remember when this was like 10 years ago or so? Do you remember when that lady got her face like ripped off by the chimp that attacked her?
Yeah. Yep. I remember that.
Well, that chimp's name was Travis, and I'm about to tell you his story. Which it's actually kind of fucked up. I never really realized how much went into it, and it's not only is it a little messed up, it's very wrong on like a lot of levels. So basically, and for some reason I always start off every story by saying so basically. God damn it, John. You know, you're about to be fucking grounded, dude. So Travis was actually born to two chimps that were in a zoo, and sorry, I'm fucking it up. You got me all fucked up now.
Man, he didn't even get 2 words in, and he's already screwed up.
Anyway.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's how I feel right now. Shit, it's because I lost my place.
Would he do? What it mean? Would he do? What it mean?
Thanks, John.
Let Dan fill in the dead
screw
air
you.
there.
By the way,
Okay.
just for anyone listening, I did not sound that confused. He just put that together.
No, that was all one piece.
Yeah,
Anyway.
right.
Would he do? What it mean? Would he do? What it mean?
Okay,
All
let's chill with the Porky Pig. So Travis was born to a chimp named Susie and a chimp named Coco, and Coco was actually stolen from Africa and imported to the U.S. in the 1970s. So Travis was born in captivity in the zoo, and when he was 3 days old, they shot the mom with a tranquilizer dart and just stole the baby. And then these people, Sandy Harold, I believe was the name. Yeah, Sandy and Jerry, and they basically paid $50,000 to this. I don't know if it was like legitimately through the zoo or how exactly you go about doing that. But regardless, so they pay $50,000 and they get this chimp who was, 3 days old at the time. And it says that normally once chimps are born, they feed off their mother until they're 5 years old. And then they kind of stick around and help any of the other younger siblings if they have any. So he was taken at 3 days and they pretty much just treated him like he was their actual son and like bottle fed him and all that. And he slept like in his own little area in their bedroom. And they said that Sandy's daughter was actually killed in a car crash like years prior. So they basically treated and took Travis as he was their actual son, and they would take him around everywhere they went. They would take him through town. He was well known through town. They would dress him up like he had his own clothes. They said he would actually sit down with them and eat dinner, and he would eat steak and lobster, and then he would have a glass of wine every night with Jerry. And they taught him, to be able to go into the kitchen and make his own food and put his food in the microwave. And just like they essentially like groomed him to be a human son that they just never had, but that's how they treated him, which is totally fine. Like I'm all for, treating animals as people, because nobody wants to be treated like shit. So on top of like them essentially making him into a human, like I said, they would take him through town and like everybody in town knew him. All the cops knew him. Like, he would hang out, take pictures with people, and he ended up doing like some commercials. John, what the fuck are you doing?
Not me.
Stop that.
That's Dan.
I'm not
One
doing
of you.
anything.
It's the microphone rubbing on your shirt.
Anyway,
Sorry.
I thought you were doing sound effects again.
No. I stopped.
Okay, that might have been my bad. I'm sorry.
So they said that he actually had done like a couple different commercials, and he was in like a pilot for a TV show that it never actually took off anywhere. But so he was kind of like semi-famous and at least famous, I guess, as far as chimps go, and famous for being in and around town. But there was, as much as they said like he was always well behaved and everybody loved him, there were a couple incidents where he had stolen the keys and took the car for a drive, and other times where he was driving in the car when he was riding shotgun and somebody threw something at the car and it like hit him, and he like jumped out and chased the kids down, and then the cops had to be called to kind of wrangle him back up. And at that point they kind of put like tighter restrictions on, because they're like, okay, because at this point, Travis is a couple years old. He's about 200 pounds, and that's a full grown man. And if you guys are familiar with like the difference between strength between a chimp and a human, it's like exponentially more. I mean, they're able to recruit more muscle fibers, and they're just insanely strong compared to a human. So even a full-grown man, 250 would have no chance in fighting off a 200-pound chimp. So even though that they put out these these tighter restrictions where like anybody that would get what they would deem as an exotic animal, it would have to be, licensed, or they would have to get a permit, or, however they actually intended on enforcing that. So through all these years, Sandra actually had one of her best friends was a woman named Charla Nash, and she had basically been around with Travis the whole time that they had him. There's pictures of them together. She knew him since he was a baby. He grew up knowing her. Well, one day, as Sandra's at home, Charla comes over, and they said that she had picked up a Tickle Me Elmo, I don't know if it was a Tickle Me Elmo, but it was like a stuffed Elmo toy, which was Travis's favorite toy. And upon seeing this, he just freaks out and like pushes her up against the car and actually like ripped her hands off, like ripped her face apart, basically like ripped her eyes out. And she's just, being destroyed by this chimp. And Sandra doesn't really know what to do, so she grabs a shovel and she hits him over the head with a shovel, and he's not stopping it. And then she goes and grabs a butcher knife and she starts stabbing him in the back. And same thing, like he just kind of looks at her and he's just not stopping. So she ends up calling the cops, and she's like, hey, she's very frantic. And that was the clip that I'll have you play in a second, John. But the phone call between her and the dispatcher is just like, this chimp is killing my friend. And they're kind of like, what's wrong with your friend? What's going on? Because she's pretty hysterical. And they end up sending a cop over. And once the cop gets there, then Travis ends up going over to the cop car. He opens the door, and then the cop shoots him point blank a couple times. And he ended up, after he was shot, he didn't drop, but he wandered back into the house onto his little special bed. And then he eventually just succumbed to his injuries on this bed after the cop shot him. And you can go ahead and play that clip, John. So this is the phone call between Sandra and the dispatcher.
This is Sandy. 231 Rock Crimmon Road.
What's the problem?
The police. Send the police.
What's the problem there?
The chimp killed my friend.
What's the problem with your friend?
Oh, please.
What's the problem with your friend? I need to know.
Send the police up with a gun. With a gun. Hurry up.
So as you can hear in the video, like you can hear Travis just like screeching or yelling in the background while he's basically just going to town on Charla. And that's why she's saying, like, send them with a gun. Like, she can't stop this thing. And, yeah, so it's just kind of hysterical.
Did that happen outside? Was that?
Yeah, so that was in Stamford, Connecticut, and that was outside of the house.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking here. I'm bringing up a picture of this woman. It's crazy, like, because she's since gotten a face transplant.
Yeah, so you may have seen it on the news. I think that was 2009 when she ended up getting all the different
Cleveland
surgeries.
Clinic did it, right?
Yeah,
I thought so. And she actually got
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Was this the one that just passed away recently, or was that the one that was shot in the face by a shotgun that had the face transplant? One of them just died recently.
I think she's still alive.
Okay,
I'm pretty
then it must
sure
have been
she's
the
still
woman
alive.
that got shot in the face.
Yeah, I remember that one too. That shit was crazy.
Right, and they gave her basically the same thing they did to this woman. That's the one I think passed away just like a year ago or so.
Yeah, so she ended up getting like hand transplants, but then they ended up having to remove them again because I guess they got infected. But then, like you said, she was given like the face transplant. Her jaw was ripped off. They had to reattach her jaw. They weren't able to save her eyesight. I don't know if it actually ate her eyeballs or if it just like gouged them out. But either way, like she is blind. And to be honest, man, like the whole face transplant thing is like super weird. Like when you see it, but after it being healed, it's honestly not that bad. Like,
so yeah, I'm gonna bring it up here right now. So this is Nash, the woman from the chimpanzee. That's that's how she looks now. And you can see that, like, obviously it looks like her. I mean, she's wearing someone else's face,
Right.
but
It is someone else's face. Yep.
but it's still mimicking, or it's taking like your bone structure and all that stuff too. So it's
Yeah,
not like, it's not like a Halloween mask.
But like early pictures show it like a lot looser, a lot more loose. I don't know how you would say that.
Well, it was very swollen is what it was.
But as like this picture looks like it's pulling tighter to her face, so you're actually getting more of a good face. Like it looks more real.
Right.
Connie Culp is the one who took the shotgun to the face. She did pass away at 57.
Okay, that's who I was thinking of.
Yeah, and then here's her picture right up here.
I think, hers was even more looked like a Halloween mask almost. Like it was more devastating, I think.
Yeah, you'll see it come up here in the chat here in a second. But yeah, and hers, unfortunately, like me personally, I don't know if it healed as well as some of these other ones. But again, she was the first person to have it done. So
Sandra actually ended up passing away. I think it was about a year and a half after this incident. She ended up having an aneurysm, and they said it was just the
stress,
the stress of the situation, the legal trouble, but also she said when she did it, it was just like stabbing herself. Like this was what she considered her son, and she essentially had to kill him. It's sad in the sense where like she had talked about when she stabbed him, he just turned around and looked at her like, "Mom, what are you doing?" But in the same sense, like the whole situation is so fucking reckless and irresponsible. Like you took a baby 3 days old from its parents, and then the way that you want to use like to justify that is, oh, well, chimps are the closest thing to humans, so like that's why we should have one. Like, what the fuck does that even mean? Like, I don't know. But anyway,
you couldn't pay any amount of money to have a chimp. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's just fucking bizarre because, dude, those things, like, they're fucking monsters. Like, they're built for fucking destruction.
Right.
Chimpanzees.
Yeah, just I don't mean like I don't mean like literally, but I mean like what they're capable of.
Well, yeah, I mean I don't know if people should. It goes back even with like tigers. Should tigers be pets?
No, absolutely fucking not.
No.
Tigers are solitary animals. Like they don't even live in fucking like packs or groups or anything.
There's so many wild animals that should not. Alligators. I mean, people have pet alligators.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
But well, it turns out that back to the thing about being irresponsible, she was dosing him with fucking Xanax, like for a long time, just to mellow his ass out. And now they're saying that the possibility of this happening was an adverse reaction from him being on Xanax, and the fact that Charla showed up with like a totally new hairstyle. So they said that he might have freaked out because he didn't recognize her, so he thought it was someone that he didn't know who had just come and taken his favorite toy, so he may have gotten very territorial. And I'm like, yet again, like, it's a fucking chimp, it's 200 pounds, and you're giving it drugs that aren't even stable for human consumption, and now you're giving it to fucking animals. Like, It's just wrong all around. And I don't even think I mentioned that Jerry, who was Sandra's husband, passed away, and I don't remember when that was. It was before the incident, but that kind of rocked him like kind of into a depression, because he would sit and wait like either at the dinner table or by the window for Jerry to come home every day, and he didn't really understand that Jerry passed away. And so now he's probably like, what the fuck's going on? Just like any animal or anything wouldn't really understand, because if it doesn't have closure,
It shows him dying in 2003.
Okay. So I knew it was like prior to this happening. And yes, it did say that he chewed on her face, scalped her, and gouged out and ate her eyes, chewed off one of her hands, and almost tore her other arm off. Oh, and he tore off her eyelids and nose. So yeah, he rocked that shit.
I imagine that was a horrible mess to see. I mean, in that driveway or wherever that happened.
How do you even, like, to possess the kind of strength to tear someone's hands off?
Dude,
you know
that's what I'm saying. Like, the way, like, just the way that they're wired, they recruit more muscle fibers. That's why, like, if you ever see, like, humans, like, so chimps and gorillas use, like twitch fibers, which is, like, what you see when dudes that are, like, not that big, but they're able to, like, bend frying pans and stuff. It's because they're recruiting, like, the twitch fibers in their muscles. So it's literally, like, that instant motion. It's not like where you would see a bodybuilder who's like performing like a move with like a time under tension kind of thing. That's like how chimps are wired to recruit their muscles all the time. So like if you were to take, and I know it's not a chimp, but like a silverback gorilla, and say that they're a couple 100 pounds, and then you were to take a dude that's like 300 pounds, like right now, the world record bench press raw, I think is like 750 or 770. It's right around the cusp of 800 pounds. It's not there yet. It's Julius Maddox, if you want to look that up. It's somewhere between like 750 and 780. But if you were to take a gorilla that's similar to that size, they could bench press like 3,000 pounds. Like, just the difference in strength is just ridiculous.
Yeah. I'm looking here on the Wiki article, and it's saying that in November 2012, Nash reached a settlement with Harold Estate and received approximately $4 million. I don't know.
Like, what is that going to do?
No, exactly nothing. I mean, who's gonna and who pays for those medical bills? Like, if you had
the insurance.
Yeah, but man, imagine those bills.
That's probably filed. Dan, you would know. Would that go under homeowners?
Well,
like
you know
pet
what?
attacks.
Well, it depends. If the insurance company, if you have a wild exotic animal and you didn't disclose that in the application, they can decline that right off the bat. They can say, absolutely not. We're not going to pay for. Just like if you have a pit bull and the pit bull kills someone inside your house, if you didn't, when the insurance application was done, if you said, do you have any dogs in the household? No, I don't. Or yes, I do. Is it a pit bull? No, it's just a golden retriever. And you end up getting a pit bull and don't tell the insurance company, they can absolutely decline that claim, which they usually will.
But it's like, dude, $4 million is not shit when you literally
lost your hands,
stuck.
face.
Yeah. Like, you lost your sight, which sucks, but is manageable. You lost your hands. Okay, that probably sucks a little more. You have to wear someone else's face. Like, who knows if she's in like constant nerve pain? She's got to be taking like anti-rejection meds like her whole life. You're literally wearing someone else's face. Like, I don't know, man. It's just not worth it.
What made you pick this one?
It kind of popped up, and I was like, as I was listening to stuff, because I always knew like, oh, this chick got attacked by a chimp. That's pretty crazy. But I never knew that like this thing was touted around town. Like, everybody knew it. It was in commercials, and they were just fucking negligent. I thought I never knew how it got attacked. I didn't know if she was at the zoo, like, and because I've seen a couple other stories where there was one in Africa, and they like went to this zoo. It wasn't a woman, but it was like a couple guys, and they went to this zoo, and all the gates were controlled electronically, and the power went out one day, and instead of it like dying and like staying in a safe mode, everything being locked, it unlocked everything, and all these chimps got out, and they like ran around to the neighboring town, and they were just like murdering people. And it was like I remember vividly, like the dude, like the chimp ran up to this dude and just grabbed him by the jaw and just ripped his jaw off, and then he died. And then like this taxi driver who had taken some people there prior like went back to try to get them out, and he like popped the trunk, and there was like one of the bodies of one of the people he was with in there, like dead. Like all these people died, and I was just like, God damn, like chimps are fucking crazy. Yeah.
Right.
But who knows, man? I mean, that's why I have like such mixed feelings about zoos, because like so many of them you hear like all the animals are mistreated. It's like maybe that shit was fucking building up well warranted for a while. Probably not to the people that it happened to, but you know, if they only know that they've been treated like shit from people and then they see a person, they're just going to assume that, you know, they're going to treat them like shit. But with this situation, it's totally different because, you know, from all you know, like, I mean, all these pictures, this thing, it's just like hanging out. It's like wearing clothes. Like I said, I used to have a glass of wine with Jerry every night. Like, I'm sure they're doing that on Xanax. Yeah, it said, she said,
stole a car.
It's, well, her car, taking the keys and taking her car a couple times.
That's crazy. Can you imagine
Hey
seeing
man,
that?
I'm going out for a joyride.
Right. They also said that he would like make noises at night, even though he was by himself. And then she like went to a medium, and the medium was like, oh, you know, Jerry said he's been visiting, which is why Travis has been all happy at night, which, I mean, whatever, take that for what it's worth. But this monkey had a lot of shit going on in his life at the time.
Right. Oh, well, there you have it.
Don't feed your chimps Xanax.
There you go.
I was going to say real quick, too, while you were mentioning about the mistreatment of animals, this is why the circuses basically have disappeared.
Right.
Like Barnum Bailey and all them.
Yeah. I mean,
fuck them.
You know, and you make a good point. Like, a lot of people get jobs with, or become vets, like veterinary profession, because they like working with animals. And, you know, zoos are built because they want to preserve and take care of animals, and a lot of good intention there. But you make a good point. Do they? Is it just too much? Like, should these animals even be held in captivity?
Like that's
going to be a push and pull forever, I think.
And it will, because like you have you let nature run its course, and the weak ones are going to die out. But what if, because of that, an entire species is going to die out and go extinct? Like, does it make sense for humans to step in and go, hang on, we can get these animals into zoos, we can help breed them and hopefully repopulate, you know, whatever that species is. But it's not the same because they're bred in captivity. Like, dude, tigers are not meant to fucking sleep 20 hours a day while being stared at by people. I mean, how many videos have you seen where, like, a lot of it'll be like the big cats because they don't have a lot of room to run around, and they just pace back and forth for hours on end. It's, you know, it's just, they're fucked up. The same with like the gorillas. You know, I don't know. That's why I have like real mixed feelings about it. And I understand like it can do a lot of good, and zoos can do a lot of good, and they do a lot of good. But, you know, what about the ones that aren't regulated? What about the ones that are just for show? You know, like the animals are being abused, they're being malnourished. I mean, how many times you see those videos when they're like, this is the first time this lion has ever felt grass? You know, like that shit's fucking heartbreaking. And like anyone involved in that should be just fucking put down on the spot.
I like the video of Father of Four hears silence for the first time. And it's like one of those reverse
right.
Here he is, and so this is just a room full of noisy kids, and then all of a sudden this guy out of the corner is like, shut the fuck up. And all the kids get quiet and the guy starts crying. Oh man. Oh, anything exciting happening up in the this next week?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Not really. No,
it's gonna be May.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Man, that was a sound effect I could have queued up for tonight. Yeah. I'm just going through the news here to see if there's anything else worth bitching about. Let's see here. Genesis announces North American reunion tour dates. Is that with or without Peter Gabriel?
Dude, Peter Gabriel, isn't he all? What does he have? Parkinson's or
No, that's Phil Collins.
Phil Collins?
no? He doesn't
I
have
didn't know that.
Parkinson's.
Phil Collins can't play drums no more.
Really?
Yeah, he's done.
Wow, I didn't know
I
that.
swear. Peter Gabriel's got
Yeah.
something going on with him.
I'm reading right here. It says, for the upcoming concerts, the classic Genesis lineup of Phil Collins, Tony Banks, and Mike Rutherford will be joined by Nick Collins, Phil's son, who will take over his father's drumming duties, and guitarist / bassist Daryl Stumer. The band previously reunited in 2007 for a tour and in 2014 for the documentary Genesis Together and Apart. Genesis' last album was 1997, Calling All Stations. So I guess no Peter Gabriel.
Who's the dude? Who? Man, I'm trying to remember. I literally just saw. It must not have been Peter Gabriel, but it was one of them dudes. Like, I don't think it was Joe Satriani, because he's not quite as old, but it was like one of those big time guitar dudes, and he was talking about like possibly going back on tour, but I swear he said he had like Parkinson's or something.
I don't know. I'm looking here. It says Marvel's Kevin Feige confirms who the true lead of the Eternals will be. I gotta say, I don't know about this whole Phase 4 thing. I think Marvel has seen its peak.
It's
in
just gonna be
popularity.
super woke.
I mean, we knew that was coming, but
Did you just say woke?
I did.
Oh God!
Anyway.
He did not just say that.
I believe I just said I did.
Dexter revealed the trailer. I'm on entertainment, nothing worth here. I know if I go to Science and Health, all it's going to be is COVID shit.
Right.
Done talking about that shit already. And
Dude, did you see that chick in New York that she did like a live stream and talked about how she don't give a fuck about cops and she doesn't care about cops' kids
and then she
and all this
accidentally
shit
ran one over
while she was fucking like high as shit and hammered?
Well,
wow.
There you have it, folks. Go ahead.
They're
Buddha.
only upset when they get caught.
Ha.
She tried to fucking flee.
Well, it's everywhere now, so she ain't escaping that. Looking here, Michael Collins, Apollo 11 astronaut, dies at age 90.
I saw that.
That was pretty sad. You know, and he's the one guy on the entire mission that's never really gotten a whole lot of press because obviously he was up in the command module orbiting the moon when Neil and Buzz were walking around. But I mean, he was the pilot for the mission, and so he piloted the command module all the way to the moon.
Since I know you're super into this, do you think there is any chance the moon landing was faked?
I've gone back and forth on this. I've watched a lot of stuff on it, and I'm in a tough spot because my dad is also really into this kind of stuff too, and my dad's like, hundreds of thousands of people worked on this project. We went there, and he's under the impression we did.
I agree with him.
And how can that big of a secret be kept? Especially if that many people supposedly worked on the project. At the same time, you watch the way some of these astronauts act, after the Apollo program and how a lot of them became alcoholics, recluses. I mean, Neil Armstrong, he didn't really like talking about it at all. And he just became a college professor until he retired from that, and then he passed away back, it's got to be going on close to 10 years ago. I would say at least 8 or 9 years ago he died. So
do you remember when Buzz Aldrin got didn't he punch that dude?
Yeah. Remember when we met him? Well, you did.
No, I was there and his mic wouldn't work.
Yeah. And the poor guy.
I've been to the fucking moon.
Yeah. He's like, I talked to the president on the surface of the moon, and you guys can't figure out how to hook this friggin' mic up.
What a dick.
No, he was all right. I mean, I think he was getting frustrated. Of course, you know, I've got all kinds of questions that are science related, and just like I'm in awe of this person that essentially walked on another celestial body, and someone's asking him like, "What's your favorite color?" I'm like,
right?
Are you freaking serious now? But we did
see
meet
the
him.
cost. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. But
I'm just saying. I was going to say, getting back to the moon landing. You see what the cost was? I think it was like $30 billion back in '68 or '69, whenever it was. It's like $100 billion in today's money.
yeah,
Who cares? Just throw it on America's tab.
Well, that's probably what I'm sure they did that.
well, yeah.
right away.
I think it's a worthy investment, in my opinion. But you know,
But
other people may
now
differ.
what? Like, okay, you did that, but so now what?
Well, I mean, it's our own damn fault that we haven't really done shit since then.
But I'm saying, like, what is the point? Like, okay, you went there, you can't colonize there. There never were plans to colonize there. Like, what is the point? Like, what is the next move? The only person talking about fucking Mars is fucking Elon Musk. You know,
And
like,
that guy's going. He's going.
Dude,
it's going to
but
happen. And they're going to
did you see he
colonize
ju-
on the moon.
Did you see that he just came out and he was like, "Hey, I'm just throwing this out there. Anyone that goes to Mars,
You might not make
come
it
back."
Yeah, right.
Doesn't take what 3 years to get there? They said.
No, I think it takes like 6 months.
I swear they said it was like 3 years.
No, well,
Maybe round trip, like maybe there, whatever they do, and then when and or if they come back. I thought they said like no matter what they do, it's going to be a one-way thing unless they can set up some type of station. But here's the thing: is like how do you colonize on another planet when you'd have to like bring materials and everything in order to even construct anything? Like, it's not like, shit, we ran out of 2x4s, run to Home Depot.
Yeah, true. I would imagine that a lot of it would have to be like some sort of inflatable or airtight, like for lack of a better word, it's like a bouncy house where, it can be vacuum sealed up very tiny, but then when it's put out there, it can inflate and become airtight and pressurized.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying, but like, so I guess another question is like, how much stuff could you really fit on a rocket, and the amount of materials you'd be bringing, like how much does that change for the added weight? Because like when they go now even, and like clearly I'm not an expert, I don't know shit about this, I'm dumb as fuck, but like when they go now, they don't really bring a lot of stuff. It's just like the bare necessity. Thank you. The bare necessity tools and then whatever supplies, right? I mean, it's not like they got overstocked shit that they bring.
Right. Yeah, it says here 7 months, a bit longer than astronauts currently stay on the International Space Station. The precise duration of each journey depends on when it is taken, because both Mars and Earth orbits are not perfectly circular. It takes time to travel between them, varies from 6 to 8 months.
So they would have to leave at a specific time to when Mars would be closest to Earth, right?
Correct. That is correct.
We should send a bunch of people to the sun.
Bezos, then he just announced that his division, I can't think of what the name of it is going to be starting
something blue, something.
Yeah, something blue. They're going to start doing space tours, like where they send people up into space. And I didn't read the details on it. I just read the headline.
Yeah, it's like a fucking $1 million a person.
Blue Origin.
Oh, I believe that. Yeah, that's it. Yep.
Can you get there on Prime?
2 days, 2-day trip to space. How long does it take to get outside, like, the Earth's atmosphere into space?
Oh, maybe 20 minutes. I don't know.
It's really that quick?
Well, let's find out.
I thought it was a little longer than that.
I feel like you'd be all amped up, like, once you're on that, and then you're like, all right, man, we're going to space, and then, like, 20 minutes go by, and then you're just like, well, what the fuck are we going to do now for the next 7 months?
8.5 minutes for the space shuttle to get to orbit.
Wow. How fast do they go?
Oh, 25, 30,000 miles an hour.
Huh. Interesting.
When they would go to the moon, they would jettison out into Earth orbit, and they would build up enough momentum on the orbit, and then run the thrusters again to leave Earth's orbit, and basically slingshot them out of Earth orbit toward the moon. And at that point, I think they, let's see, I think it was like, it's got to be over 30,000 miles an hour. I'm pretty sure, but let me look that up. But
so if there's no gravity in space, how do they slow down?
Reverse thrusters.
Oh, okay. I guess that's kind of a dumb question.
25,000 miles per hour. Stage 3 fired twice, once to get Apollo into orbit, and then again to propel the spacecraft away from Earth towards the moon at the speed of 25,000 miles per hour. But yeah.
That is pretty fucking remarkable. Dude, did you ever hear that, like when, they were doing like the whole space race thing, and that Russia, instead of like building models or just essentially like designing and just running math on it to see if it would work, like, I guess the US would do, I guess Russia would just build it and then try it. And if it worked, or, it wouldn't work, but when they would do it and something would blow up, then they would go, okay, build another one and then change that to something else. And then it would blow up, and trial and error over and over and over, instead of making like actual.
That's why the Soviet Union collapsed.
Well, no, but like, money. But the, what I'm getting at is, and I don't know if this is true, but I heard that they did that like over and over and over. But then when it was announced that the US had actually been into space, they just said, fuck it, scrap the program. And I guess the dude that was like supposed to scrap the program, like he terminated it, but he didn't get rid of everything, like any of their prototypes or anything like that. He kept all that shit. So then he ended up calling, I don't know if it was the US, but it was some other space exploration, NASA type thing. And he called them and he said, hey, we have all these old rockets or whatever. Do you want to buy any of them? So they were like, yeah. And they looked at him, and I guess like the last one that they made, it fucking worked perfectly. So had they actually used it, it would have been successful. Don't know if it's true, just something I've heard before.
Space shuttle fastest it went was 17,500 miles per hour.
17,000?
500 miles per hour. There's a really
said...
That was the Apollo 11 capsule going towards the moon. So again, you have to think that they used the Earth as a gravity slingshot, so
right,
it went a little faster. But there's a ride at Epcot called Mission Space. Oh boy, that was terrible. Mission Space, and there's two options, and it's basically a centrifuge where you can pick a lesser intense version and then a very intense version. I think forget how many G's it pulls. So
G money.
2.5 G's. So basically 2.5 times your weight on Earth. But basically what it does, I mean, the less intense version is just a motion simulator and you kind of bounce around and whatnot. But the more intense version will spin and obviously create that the G-force. Holy shit, man. I mean, and they tell you don't look to the side because you could pass out. And I mean, when I got off the thing, I was like really dizzy, and I was like, I need to sit down for a minute. It messed me up for probably about a good hour afterwards.
Does it just spin, or what does it actually do?
Well, it's a motion simulator, but you're in a very tight capsule, just like you would be like for the Apollo program. And so there's buttons and all kinds of lights and switches and stuff. And so it's an interactive ride. But again, the two versions are the less intense version and then the intense version. And
which one did you do?
I did both of them. I've only done the intense version once, but in order to pull the G-force, there's a centrifuge where it just spins. And so it's kind of like when you put water in a bucket and spin it, in a circle really fast and the water doesn't come out.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing where they apply force, but you're pulling 2.5 G's, which is like, so if you're 100 pounds, you're actually pulling 350 pounds of pressure on your chest for, brief periods of time.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, let me make sure my math is correct.
So you could totally die in there, like on the ride.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's 250 pounds, not 350 pounds. Yeah, people have died riding that ride too, or afterwards.
Oh, I was going to say on it? Like, Jesus, that seems like a huge liability.
That's what I was about to say, yeah.
But I'm pretty sure.
People die on Disney rides all the time. Seems like.
Yeah, a 4-year-old boy died after passing out aboard Walt Disney World's Mission Space ride, a ride so intense that it has motion sickness bags, and several riders have been threatened or treated for chest pain.
Do they make you sign a waiver when you do it?
No. They've since decreased the force. But from June 2004 to 2005, paramedics treated 194 mission space riders. The most common complaints were dizziness, nausea, and vomiting. Of those 194 guests, 25 people passed out, 26 suffered difficulty breathing, and 16 reported chest pains and irregular heartbeats. On June 13th, 2005, a 4-year-old boy from Sellersville, Pennsylvania, died after riding Mission Space. An autopsy by the Orange County Medical Examiner's Office released that the boy died as a result of an existing undiagnosed idiopathic heart condition called myocardial whatever. On June 12, 2006, a lawsuit was filed against Disney by his parents, claiming that Disney should have never allowed the 4-year-old child to ride and did not offer an adequate medical response after he collapsed. On January 11th, 2007, the lawsuit was dismissed with prejudice. How are the parents suing? You're the one that put them on the thing.
Right.
Because
there's got to be some accountability.
Fuck.
No one has any accountability anymore. That's a problem. It's not my fault. It's your fault that this happened.
Right. On April 12th, 2006, a 49-year-old woman from Schmitten, Germany, fell ill after riding the ride and then died at Celebration Hospital in nearby Celebration, Florida. An autopsy determined that she died from brain hemorrhage caused by longstanding and severe high blood pressure. There was no evidence of trauma attributable to the ride. We should do all these weird Disney things, all these incidents. See, I'm just looking here. It's called Walt Disney World Incidences. Let's see. All kinds of stuff. Here. On April 22nd, 2010, a 61-year-old woman from Celebration, Florida suffered a collapsed lung, fractured ribs, and back pain due to a boating accident near the Treehouse Villas. The rented Sea Racer that her and her husband was driving collided with a Disney ferry boat. Well, that's their own fault. A bunch of shit on monorail. On April 30th, 2005, a 30-year-old man from Mooresville, Indiana, lost consciousness shortly after exiting the ride and died from a heart attack moments later. An investigation showed the ride was operating correctly and was not the cause of his death. He had an artificial pacemaker. This was for the ride Dinosaur. Let's see here. October 2016, a 67-year-old man from Memphis, Tennessee, died after riding Star Tours. The rider had a pre-existing heart condition along with other contributing factors. The incident was described as part of a quarterly report filed with the Florida Department of Agriculture, which oversees the safety of the state's amusement parks. Let's see, Magic Kingdom. I think somebody, pretty sure somebody died on, not Space Mountain, but, what's it called?
A little girl died recently on something.
Big Thunder Mountain. February 2017, a 54-year-old man died after riding this attraction. His death was believed to be of natural causes. They're all pre-existing. So, I mean, this shit's still safe. You know,
calm down, John. We know you like it there.
No,
the thing is, in your 60s, when you're in your 60s, you know, you gotta start kind of calming it down a little. I mean, yeah, I know you can, going on crazy rides when you're damn near, elderly, you're taking a chance,
Dan, if you want to live like a bitch, then that's your business.
Yay.
Oh, here we go. On November 5th, 2000, a 37-year-old man from St. Petersburg, Florida, was fatally injured while trying to exit Splash Mountain, the ride vehicle, while it was moving. He told fellow passengers that he felt ill and attempted to reach one of the attractions marked emergency exit. He was struck by the following ride vehicle and died at Celebration Hospital. So, it does happen, I guess. Anyone?
Sometimes there's those freak accidents.
How about that one a couple of years, or like 5-6 years ago? That wasn't Disney, but it was that water ride. I think it was like maybe Atlanta. That it was like a 13-year-old. The kid was going down a water slide and he got decapitated by the netting or something.
Oh, I thought that was in like Russia or Siberia or something.
No,
I didn't
that
know
was
that was here. Was it?
Yep.
Do you remember when that?
I can't remember what state it was.
The fuck? Do you remember that, like that Great Wolf Lodge or whatever in like Siberia, where it had like a glass roof and it got so much snow on it that just caved in and like killed a bunch of people?
No.
I remember hearing that. I didn't know it died. Did people actually die on that?
Well, it wasn't a ride. They were just in the building.
I remember hearing that story. I didn't know anyone got killed there.
Let's see here. Do you remember? Wasn't it one of the coasters over at Cedar Point where somebody had gotten their head?
No, that was the Batman ride at Six Flags.
There's 3 points here. It says on August 13, 2015, a 45-year-old man was killed by a roller coaster after going into the ride's restricted areas to retrieve a dropped cell phone. He was struck in the head by the back of a passing train. Park emergency crews attempted to revive him, but he was soon pronounced dead at the scene. Yeah.
Once again, dude, people, stop being stupid. You won't make headlines. Stop being stupid.
That was on the Raptor.
Was a cell phone worth that much, right? To die over.
I mean, and you could, the park's going to shut down. Go there at the end of the day when they turn the thing off.
Right.
Or just ask an employee that's running it, hey, this just happened. Can you guys shut it down for a minute and have your staff go grab it?
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Dan, you love that Top Thrill.
What's that?
You love that Top Thrill dragster. Oh,
man. That thing was crazy. I mean, my damn contact, like I said, kind of fell over into my eye. I couldn't even see. The fucking thing was so... I mean, literally, yeah. And actually, I've heard people, their actual contacts have actually flown out of their eyes, actually.
That thing goes real fast. I mean, I've only ridden it like twice. But that Millennium Force... Total thrill.
You mean Top Thrill?
No, Millennium Force. I've ridden that one, but I'm saying it's just it's thrilling.
I'm sorry, I thought you meant Top Thrill Dragster. What I was talking about.
Would he do a
And on that note,
oh man,
off it and.
All right, we've screeched to a screeching halt. Here we go. In that case. And that's how the show's going to end tonight. Good night, everybody. All right. Well, nothing crazy happening in this next week. We will be back next Thursday evening, 8 o'clock. The good Lord willing. Nothing bad happens. You guys have anything to close out for this week?
Don't feed your chimps Xanax.
Yeah. That. Ride the lesser intense version if you're not ready to get rocked at Disney World. Watch out for serial killers in Cleveland and Los Angeles. Beware of bags of grenade-looking objects in the woods.
And for anyone, I have your USB charging cable.
Yeah. What was the charging cable for? That's what I want to know.
Powering up that toy.
Charge yeah, let's say it's.
This ain't 1980s anymore. They ain't stationary.
Yeah. Well, for Dan Rady, Steve Gibson, and everyone else in the Type 3 TV Echosphere, say goodnight, Buddha.